my talk is really not a tech talk at all. It's really about three things: to live, to have life, and to live now. Those of you who haven't seen me for a while, depending upon how long that while has been, I went on a journey. Without any surgery, I figured out a way how to outsource about 55 kilo, or about 120 pounds. And I call it outsourcing, not losing weight, because if you lose something, you find it, or it finds you. But if you outsource it, it's like not in your mind. And so in the spring of 2012, I decided that I had to do something, because, I mean, I knew for a while I was pretty thin up until past college, and then I wasn't. And I knew something had to change, and it was me, but I had a lot of inertia. And I went one year, then another year, and finally I had the courage to go to my doctor and suggest to the doctor that I should have gastric bypass surgery. And I guess it was when the doctor said, yes, that's a good idea, that I realized I had to do something else. So I thank my friend Mel Rosenberg, who in Tel Aviv came up with the phrase, bypass the bypass. And so I spent the first part of June of 2012 trying to figure out exactly how to bypass it. And then I had this idea. I bought 41 books on health, wellness, fitness, and food. And I decided to become my own nutritionist. And for the first time since high school, I started to exercise. And my idea of exercise, well, it started out that if I had to walk 3 blocks of Manhattan, I used to take a taxi. I mean, seriously. Mostly because my Achilles heels were locked down. It was just difficult to be. And I was in pain, but a different kind of pain. And then I started working out by a local park for about the first month, and that was fun, until somebody in the park noticed that I was doing steps over the park bench, and they yelled at me to find a gym. But the thing is, when you're overweight, you really feel uncomfortable going to a gym when everyone else is pretty thin, and you're you. And so, but I did, because I got thrown out of the park, and I had no choice. And then in October of 2012, I wrote a manifesto, which turned out to be pretty cool, because I wrote 2 things which were absolutely absurd at the time, that within a year's time, I was going to get rid of 100 pounds, and that in June of 2013, I was going to do a one-arm push-up on the stage of the 92nd Street Y. For some reason, those were 2 milestones, which is like, I want to do. Now, and if you saw me there, you would actually say, what the fuck? But because it was just not going to happen. But I discovered on Facebook, of all places, that I started sharing my journey, and actually things started to work out. I found a way to get rid of weight, and in February 2013, I actually hired a trainer because I was actually coming close to June, and I did not know how to do this push-up. But if you ever saw the movie Karate Kid, when you have a sansei with wax on, wax off, I learned someone who basically dissected the push-up, and I did it. Actually, 2013 happened, and a couple of great things happened that year. I got rid of the 100 pounds, a little bit more, like 120 pounds. And the other thing is, the 2 days before the push-up was Father's Day. And for the first time in 19 years, my kids are turning 21 later this month, but for the first time in 19 years as a dad, I was able to do something athletic with my kids. I played basketball. And that was priceless. So basically, I went through 2013, 2014, everything was great. And then I found out in October each year in Tel Aviv, there's a night run. Where, any of you guys ever run in the 10K night run in Tel Aviv? Some of you know, I can't really see, but trust me, every kilometer is supposed to be fun. There's a band, there's a DJ. And I got into my head that I wanted to be in that race. I'm not fast. The fact I could move was like pretty incredible, but I did it. I mean, I was able to jog. And so I got myself in Tel Aviv on October 28th. And it goes like this. I was all set. I had my sneakers. I had everything set. I was entered into the race, got a doctor's note. And then 6 hours before the race, I'm sitting on the beach by surf and turf and about to have lunch. I was with 2 friends, and then I had a seizure. And I never had one since, but having a seizure, now if you're ever going to have a seizure, I recommend having it in front of people who love you and care for you. Because my memory goes from waiting outside to order lunch to being in the back of an ambulance in excruciating pain going to Ichilov Hospital. Now, in between what happened to me, and I did not fall, but I dislocated my right shoulder, I fractured 2 bones in my shoulder, and I tore the muscle off my bone. So after going to Ichilov Hospital, I came to the States, and I went to the hospital for special surgery. And on November 6th, I had my shoulder reconstructed. I'm still recovering from that. But while I was in this state of trying to live, I discovered a few things. I used to put, anyone here my Facebook friends? Some of you? So you may see that I used to put out the word live life now, sort of as a motto, to try to encourage other people to live in those moments. But when you're sitting in the hospital, and you're not able to communicate with people, and you're just sitting there as a person, and you don't know how you got there, and I hate hospitals. So in Tel Aviv, something amazing happened to me is that when I was in the hospital, I was never alone. The entire time I was there, there were people, I don't want to cry now, but there was so much love, so much giving. It was incredible. My memory's blurry from the drugs, but I remember the love. Trust me, it was just not fun to be on this stuff. But I mean, look, I told one of the friends, one of my friends in New York who came to see me, apparently I told more than one person that when I had the operation, they put my arm in upside down backwards. And they called my parents like screaming hysterical. And my sisters were laughing, and they thought, oh, I told you that too. Well, thing is, Oxy does it to you. But anyway, the moment that you feel love from strangers, or people just give, and you can't give back, it's like, that's pretty powerful. Then to appreciate and to give yourself a chance to exist. I mean, I can't tell you how distracted I usually used to be, where I couldn't get off my devices. I used to always have to be on email. I always had to go on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, wherever. I never gave myself a chance to live. I never gave myself a chance to breathe. I was always worried about everybody else, trying to capture and share a moment. But sometimes it wasn't there for me. I stopped taking photos for a number of years because my camera went to amazing events, but I was never there. But when you're sitting in a hospital thinking back about the year that was, the race you were not in, you start becoming grateful for breathing. You become grateful for living. And then when you go home and you have to move out of your apartment, after you moved out of your house 30 years ago to into your mom's house because you can't tie your shoelaces and you can't button your shirt, that's humbling. And I'm still dealing with that. I haven't moved out back to my apartment yet, but I finally feel I can move my arms, sort of. But that whole idea of finding your flow, not really making excuses for yourself, but just embracing it. I mean, I can't tell you how often I went on Facebook and I told people I was asking for ideas on TV shows to watch, and I was just saying I was watching shows. People thought I was wasting my time. Well, you don't realize, unless you've actually had pain, that when you open up an email, you feel uncomfortable. I can't reply. I felt helpless because when I was getting hundreds of emails from people that I never could reply to. I opened them, but you get distracted. Pain does that to you. So, when you have a moment when you're feeling good, my message to you today is to try to be present. I seriously hope that everyone in this crowd, when this speech is done, you either give someone a hug or you call someone and tell them that you love them. Because life is something that's very precious, that there was yesterday, there will be tomorrow, but to be present where you are today and to find your flow and to allow yourself to be is an incredible thing. I mean, I coach a lot of people trying to help them do their startups, try to figure out what to do. In another talk, I would tell you that I'm version 8.3 of me right now, because I believe that you can reboot yourself at any moment in life. That doesn't matter who you were yesterday, doesn't matter who you're going to be tomorrow, it's who you are right now. And understanding that you could be, as long as you're at terms with who you are, nothing else really fucking matters. That you have to be at peace with that it's you, and I'm going to take 2 more minutes anyway, because everyone else ran late, so it doesn't matter. The thing is about being able to find that life balance, the balance between your head, your heart, and your soul, your ruach. That sometimes takes a lifetime. But to have the confidence to be who you are, to be that person. It doesn't matter what your friends think you are. It doesn't matter, doesn't matter who you were before, but to embrace yourself. And whenever I work with startups, the biggest trouble as an investor, and I've invested in many startups, is that my success has almost always come from doing things I had no experience doing. So I can't tell someone they're not qualified to be successful. I can't tell somebody you can't do that. Friends of mine in Tel Aviv consider me the Forrest Gump of communications. Because most of my adult life, I've been very lucky, very fortunate to do things without thinking about why I can't do it, and magic happens. And when I try to talk to individuals to help them figure out what their path is, it's so hard to deprogram people from what their friends think of them, what their family thinks of them, But one day they wake up and they realize who they are. And I wish that everyone here could live their life for themselves, to live, to care, to be, to find their flow, to embrace their flow, but to take the time for themselves too, whether it's turning off your devices, whether it's sharing love unbounded, and just be, because when you can't do that, it's a very humbling experience. When you can't speak, or I had this horrible experience when I was in the hospital right after surgery. I had a nurse, and every 20 minutes they were checking my blood pressure. I had an IV in my arm, the stub was there, and they put this clamp down on my arm to check my blood pressure automatically. But the thing was, the way the clamp was coming down on my arm is every 20 minutes I was in excruciating pain because it was pushed, they put the clamp right on the IV. It took me 3 hours to communicate to the nurse that I was in pain, because I was trying to communicate, but I couldn't. And that's when I realized life matters. And that you got to take control of your own life and be there for yourself way before you could be there for anyone else. It took me 52 years to get there, but I'm there. And I really hope that as you continue the day and listen to other amazing talks, that you take a moment for yourself. I mean, friends of mine might know that I'm absolutely obsessed with Instagram. There's one reason for that. You see, Facebook and Twitter, there's a lot of darkness. There's good, there's evil, there's all sorts of shit. But on Instagram, for the most part, if you go on Instagram, anyone here on Instagram? Well, if you don't follow me, I'm Jeff Kenny Pulver, JeffKenniPulver. What I go out of my way doing is sharing love. I take photographs of what I see, golden moments of my day, and share them. Sometimes it's twice a day, sometimes it's 5 times a day. But what my friends also do is they share love. And what I believe for now, Instagram is about love, it's about sharing, it's about caring, and it's the one place I find light. So anyway, I appreciate the opportunity to be here. Ido, thank you for having me. I encourage everyone here to call someone, tell them they love you, that you love them, that you love yourself, that things are good. But just more than anything else, just be.